This is CUNY TV, the City University of New York.
Hello, I'm Ronnie Eldridge. Welcome to Eldridge and Company. Matilda Cuomo has always known that a caring adult can make an important contribution to a child's success. Just look at her children. And as New York State's First Lady, and her common sense and energy and deep belief in public service have hatched many important programs to improve the well-being of children and families. None are more important than her organization, Mentoring USA.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here with you.
I know that mentoring is so important to you. Where did you first come up with the term? I mean, how did this thought come to you?
Good question. Well, I was so desperate with the New York State Mentoring Program that started in 1987. Just like today, the children were dropping out of school. They were not realizing the importance of education. So prevention is the key. That was our mantra. And we started the New York State Mentoring Program. As I was going along, Madeline, my daughter, who's an attorney, the youngest of the girls, she said to me, "Mom, you met so many people as First Lady. Why don't you ask them, who mentored you? Because now they're successful." And then Walter Cronkite, at one of these wonderful little cocktail parties, he said to me, "Madeline's right." He said, "Look, nobody who was accomplished and successful did it all on their own. There had to be somebody in their lifetime."
You know, they always used to have that saying, behind every man is a
good woman, but still, in your lifetime, you have to find out from these very successful people who helped you, who was your mentor. And even as you get older, as Hillary Clinton notices with Marian Wright Edelman, was her mentor when she was in college.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you wrote a book.
So this is the book.
And this is the third edition.
Third edition of the book.
And
it's become very popular. And we have 30 new people in here, famous people like the President, Clinton, and so many. So I am so thrilled that they think enough. And they didn't give me a hard time. They do their essays, we give them the parameters, and done. And they're so good at understanding. It's a give back.
Yeah.
Of course I didn't do it all on my own. And let me tell you who helped me.
Right.
And it's an amazing phenomenon. Here, Bocelli and
Tony Bennett.
Dr. Oz, who's on all the TV shows, and all of them. Tony
Not to
Bennett.
say your sons, two of them.
Whoopi has a beautiful story, and
She
Harry.
does, yeah.
Yeah, all of the stories are so significant and different of the people who helped them. In my introduction, I talk about my teacher, Miss Collier, who really put me on the path of becoming a teacher. She said to me one day, "Look, you know the answers. Why don't you raise your hand?" She called me up to her desk. I thought I did something wrong, and I was so frightened. And she said to me, no. She said, "Relax. I just want to know. Why don't you raise your hand?" I blushed. I was very timid. Nobody agrees with me that I did, but I was. And I think it was too because my mom didn't speak English, and I didn't have parents coming up because they spoke Italian, and they couldn't deal with it. So in any case, she said to me, "Look, your grades are very good. Keep in school, doing the same thing you're doing, and go to high school and then college. And would you like to be a teacher like me?" Oh my gosh. When she just said that to me, no one has said that.
That gave you the goal,
It gave me the goal.
Was your reticence talking up because you tell this other poignant story about your mother who spoke Italian and didn't speak English very well, and how being rebuffed when she took you to school the first time?
Ronnie, it was something that a child, see, that's what I relate to, even with my own grandchildren.
How you remember.
Be careful, because these little vignettes, they really, this happens to you when you're a little child. You think they forget.
Yeah.
I never forgot it. And it really, to say, was a blemish for me in my lifetime that could happen to my mother. She couldn't make out the application, so help her a little bit. You know, she could comprehend English, but she couldn't write English.
How could they send her home?
Hollywood, her name was Dr. Hollywood, I'll never forget. She came in and she chased her out with a flourish. Come back when you can speak English. Yeah, So my generation and Mario Cuomo, we didn't go to kindergarten. You know, it's interesting today that
yeah,
Christine
yeah.
Quinn is saying all children should go to
Right,
kindergarten.
yeah.
She's right.
Yeah.
But the fact is that things have changed, though. I know that schools don't let people leave because they're
They
not
can't speak
speaking the
English.
language.
Right.
We've come a long way with that, thank God.
I remember my social studies teacher in 7th grade who really, I was always interested in politics,
Yes.
but he really piqued the interest, Mr. Herbert Eben.
Oh.
So when I was in the city council, when my first session, I invited him and he came.
See?
Very important.
You remember,
Junior
of
high
course
school,
you
Joan of
remember.
Arc.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me, how did you start the mentoring program or revamp it?
Well, that's a good word. That's what I had to do. In 1994, I got a call from my darling son, Andrew, and he said, Mom, I have bad news and good news. Are you sitting down? I said, I'm in the midst of getting an apartment and fixing it up and everything. And I said, oh my goodness, what happened? He said, I'll give you the bad news first. He said, the New York State mentoring program was cut out, eliminated. I said, it was what? From Buffalo to Long Island, the first in the country, statewide school-based,
This was
completely bipartisan. Children never ask you, oh, by the way, are you Republican, Democrat, or Independent?
Right, yeah.
You know,
Oh, this
I
was
said,
under
why?
Pataki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the new
Yeah,
administration.
new administration.
Why they did it so fast also boggles the mind. You know, take
Yeah.
your time, look, think.
yeah.
What is the good of it, and what are they accomplishing? So it was statewide. Now, he says to me, Mom, now you can change the name, you can go national, do what you want, you don't have to stay in the state, and call it another name. And he right quickly said, Mentoring USA. I said, wonderful. Okay, Andrew, be real. I have no money, I have nothing, no resources here. And he said to me, I thought that out too. See, this is the way he is. The solution that I should, after getting my 2 people who were my real volunteers from day one, they would help me and not even get paid at first. Yeah. That's how we were. And I'm a volunteer, of course. So the fact is, though, he said, look, why don't you become affiliated with Help USA? The facilities that I got started with other people, for the homeless, with services. And they need, what better service than for those kids? Yeah. When their parents are homeless and they have to get their life together and jobs and everything. So even at that time, there was a big, big need for this. So that made sense to me. And I said, they'll pay my rent, you know. So he said he'd give me a nice little room, a nice place. It was a little room, no windows. And I tell you the truth, I used to kid about it. But we got better rooms about 2 years in.
So you developed it that way. And now where are you? Where does it?
We're international. It's Mentoring USA, Italia, Spain, Morocco.
That's amazing.
And I'm involved with an international forum for child welfare. We're going to have a huge conference. It was here in 2010, up in Poughkeepsie, in New York. And now it's going to be in 2011, it was in Australia. And now 2012, it's going to be in Italy, in Naples. Because the children are hurting there. Yeah. They have parents, it sounds familiar, who are incarcerated. Parents who are really the homeless kids with their parents. And they're suffering, and they need a lot of help. And they need a mentor in their lives.
So do you have contracts with different organizations or states or cities to provide the service?
I don't get involved with that at all. I am an honorary president of that program in Italy. And they're all throughout Italy now.
Yeah.
And
no, I meant in the United States.
But what he does, Sergio, is he gets in fact, the region of Campania has sponsored now this wonderful international forum of child welfare just for the kids in Naples. And the fact that the European Union is helping, and he's getting sponsorship from people who, the Commissioner of Education. I'm meeting with Letitia Moratti, who was actually the Commissioner of Education at the time. But she has now, as mayor of Milano, has also endorsed it and paid for programs. So it's the government is such that the regions take over with their funding. And I think it works rather well for Sergio.
And what happens in the United States?
Well, here it's interesting. Stephen Powell, who is my executive director, has done a yeoman's job. I mean, he said because of my coming on your show and other shows, California, Boston, we're in like 25 states as it is. We've done, he's done the training and gets structured discipline of the program. It's a very structured program. It's the same as the New York State mentoring program and better, because we've really encouraged the training to get better.
The training's very important. You recruit mentors, right?
It's everything, yes.
You recruit mentors, and then do you work with schools or
well,
organizations?
They're volunteers. They come in from all
the
over.
mentors are volunteers.
Volunteers.
And how many hours do they have to?
It's an hour a week. And 1 hour a week.
A minimum.
A minimum. Well, they could stay an hour and a half for 2 hours, but some of them are confined to that time schedule. And the fact is we have resources. We have a curriculum for diversity. You'd say to the child, the mentor has to learn to get that child out and say, who are you, by the way? Where do you come from? Where are your folks from? See, going back to that kindergarten thing for me,
Some
I
pride.
know how important that is, because a lot of kids don't like to talk about it. They think they maybe don't belong here in this country or whatever. But, you know, as I didn't at that time. But the fact is, you know, you have to let this child understand there's diversity here in this country. They come from all over the world. And you belong here. And you should be proud of who you are.
Right.
Respect yourself. Then you can respect other people.
Yeah.
And that's the crux of that.
And then what else do you offer?
We do financial literacy, with Citibank giving us a curriculum, NASDAQ, Bank of New York. We have so many wonderful supporters for this. And what they learn is banking, a budget. What's a budget? Do you buy shoes when you can't afford that price? And all kinds of wonderful things that they never thought of. And I wish, in fact, Margaret and Andrew had a bank book. I don't know if you remember the bank book the banks used to do.
Yes.
And every week, Friday, they'd put in
they'd
10
stamp
cents,
your,
a quarter. And do you know that when Christmas came, they were so proud, more than their siblings, that they had money. They could buy things.
They were the two oldest children.
Yes.
They are the two oldest.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And then you have programs for children who are, well, first of all, the age. It goes from what age?
7 to 21.
21.
The whole gamut, because 21 are the young boys and girls, I should say, young men and women who come out of foster care.
Aging out of foster care.
And aging out. And nobody seems to understand. I said to a friend, you know, we're working with this boy, this young man, he has to get a place to live. Oh, tell him to go back to his family. Excuse me, he wouldn't have been in foster care in the first place if he had a family. Right. What are you talking about?
That's such an awful thing, because by law, they age out of the foster care system.
They have no place to go.
So they have no place to go. Do they get any money?
Well, we find the funding through the social services.
But the kids who age out?
It's something to really study and do well, and that's what we're doing. And Stephen Powell takes care of that, and he's doing a great job too with that, because they need jobs. So it ties in with Help USA, see? And also we get apartments for them that way. There's transitional housing through the Help USA. It's state, federal, city funding, and boy, they've got to get out in 9-10 months, believe it or not. They have to do all of that with the services to get the family out into permanent housing with an apartment.
So now Help USA is building housing for veterans.
Yes.
So are you going to develop programs for children?
I hope so, because
the military? That would be a wonderful thing.
Into doing, because actually there is no greater need for a veteran to come back and put congeal his whole family together again. And to kids, you know, you don't know what happens in the family when the father's gone such a long time. I fear that we need to really concentrate on that.
And this is basically children who are not really doing the best they can in school.
Absolutely.
Is that what it's aimed
Well,
at?
they feel that they don't belong because they're not doing well. They have no support at home. See, this is the whole thing. My mantra was the home, the school, the community. When the home or one of these pillars, these strong pillars, is inadequate or broken, the child is going to suffer. It's that simple.
And when a couple of them are, then you're really in trouble.
So this is what we know, and this is a fact. So these children really need that one-to-one. Why do I call it one-to-one? It's not like a sport, you know, where it's a one-on-one and you know, getting in the basket. No. This is a mentor looking at that child. I'm here for you, buddy. And, you know, and they get it. They know that, and they love it. The worst truant child will come to school for their mentor and not come to school. This has happened many times. So you can see the tie, the wonderful, brilliant understanding of a relationship.
Right. Do you interview people who want to be mentors?
We need a lot of mentors.
Right.
We need many more. The training actually sometimes can weed out people who maybe should not do mentoring. They can do other things.
Right.
But it takes certain people with a lot of compassion.
And if people want to know about it, they should go to the website.
Yes, right? Yes. It's just simple, mentoringusa.org.
Okay. And do it, and then
you'll
see the whole project
beautiful.
and everything.
Yes, they see everything.
Right. You know, talking about this and talking about the home and talking about, it made me think that another program that you need to start is a parenting program for the parents.
Well, that's a good point.
To teach them what's important about helping the kids, because we have so many people who have young children and single parent families and all kinds of things. They really need that support. That's a very important thing.
You're so right. That's so true. Because that's part of the home and the school and the community the lack thereof.
And as you watch your grandchildren and your children, the way they relate to their grandchildren, I mean, I've learned so much. You know, good job.
Yes, yes.
That encouragement all the time.
Yes.
That was not always talked about when our kids were young, wasn't? Although we would try.
That affirmation.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
So interesting.
Well, the point is, though, children need a lot of attention. We think not, but it's the way it is, because when a child comes home, they have an awful lot to say about what happened in school with a friend, with this. If there's nobody there to listen to them,
right.
and I'm not against nannies, but sometimes a nanny has a lot to do and they're not interested in the first place, so too much. So the thing is, the child suffers. There's no doubt about it, and there's nothing like a parent to really give that attention. So the mentor sort of sits in there and
does the mentor establish a relationship with the parent?
Yes,
they can.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
You see, that's the byproduct is that the mentor also connects with the parent, and they're friends. I mean, this is a mutual understanding that we're both helping the child, and it works so well because I did this with Ellie Delgado in the 4th grade.
Yeah.
I had to talk to, and they gave it to me because I spoke Spanish.
That was your first
one
mentee?
of my majors. Yeah.
And it's written up here in this one of these things about you. Is that on the website?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Ellie is now 33 years old. She came back into my life, and I had a gap there with her, but I put her through elementary school, high school. She was leaving in the 5th grade. She didn't want to continue. And she went to Hudson Valley Community College. She now has a great, she does all the billings for the doctors at this breast cancer center in Troy, New York, which is well known. And I'm so proud of her because she understood, she really got it, that the education is the key to success.
Does she have children?
Yes, she has 2 little boys.
Yeah.
And I'm going to her wedding. She's marrying the fellow because I found out she didn't marry Thomas, and she said, okay, okay.
So funny.
So she's getting married.
So you were a school teacher?
Yes.
So you did achieve that
Miss
goal.
Cullia had the dream, had me.
And what grades did you teach?
It's very interesting. I was graduating college, the teacher's college. I got the job before marrying Mario Cuomo. But what happens is I go back to my job, and he looks at me and he says, wait a minute, you're not the same young lady I got for the job here, I brought on. You have a new name, you're a Cuomo, not Rafa, and you're pregnant. After the honeymoon.
And did they let you teach?
They let me teach 2 years.
How far into your pregnancy could you teach?
You know, at that time...
You weren't allowed to, weren't you?
No. It was wonderful. It was like 8 months. I had a fine pregnancy, and I was able to teach. He was a wonderful principal. And then he called me back for another 3 years. So I taught at the Dutch Broadway School in Elmont, Long Island. And it was wonderful, wonderful. I loved teaching. And the children... I was really majoring in Spanish to teach in the high school area, but I got married and I didn't get my master's degree, and I stayed home with the kids, one by one.
And you did stay home with them?
Yes, I never got my master's.
Did you ever think your family was, did you ever think when your mother was turned away at school that you would marry and your husband would be the governor of New York?
Well, you know, thank God she too, coming home from school, walking home with her, was about 2-3 blocks. She was tightly holding my hand and crying That's what got me.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I said, why should they make her cry like that? You know, I'll never forget it. And I was never very forgiving either for what happened to her. So when you say that, it's like my mother saw Mario become governor.
Oh, that's
And
great.
she adored Andrew. They all did. The 4 grandparents are written up in his essay. I tell the people everywhere, please read his story, because he really got it from 4 grandparents that he grew up with. What a blessing and a gift. And he tells it like it is, the values, the hard work. He saw these good people who they went through their life. My father was a hugely successful businessman, the largest builder of supermarkets in the whole Northeast. I mean, so this was, you know, for him, for Andrew to see, you know, life is good. You work hard, these good people that he loves so much, and you can be very happy with a good life, you know. So I
And Mario grew up over the
yes,
the
but
store,
the
grocery
grandparents all saw
store.
good things happening in the family.
That's so
the
great.
grandchildren and Mario made them very proud. And Andrew, I know they must know what happened with Andrew.
So you couldn't be prouder, right?
Yes,
What's
yes.
the next achievement somebody in the family is going to?
Well, I think they're all doing well. Margaret's writing a book. Everybody has something that. Look,
Margaret is a physician,
yes,
a radiologist
yes,
originally.
That's right.
She's writing a book about cancer.
Oh, yes, she is. And she's very involved with that. And she has now a sister, Maria, who has, you mentioned the veterans. She opened one of the Help USA facilities in
She's the
Vegas.
chair, or what is her title with Help USA?
She is the honorary chair, the chairman of the board and the chairman of Help USA. But they opened in Vegas, they have Philadelphia, and in Newark, New Jersey with Mayor Booker.
And housing at Walter Reed Hospital or on the grounds.
They gave them, yes, the grant went to her only because of the wonderful background they have and the success they've had. So she got the grant to do it right on their property in Walter Reed Hospital. Isn't that wonderful?
Very exciting. Yeah.
So all of them. Madeline is a stay-at-home. She's a wonderful lawyer. They were sorry she left the firm, but she was involved with her 3 little girls, and they are fabulous. I mean, she is the epitome of a mother staying home, the discipline, the love, the well-being of those kids, 3 of them. Fantastic. And it shows. And so Christopher is, everybody knows him.
He's a television
He's still
star.
with, yes, 2020, and he's working there now. And he's an investigative journalist, and he's a lawyer, so he gets the whole picture.
Everybody.
And he's quite wonderful. So he was a joy. There was a gap between him and Alan.
And he was the baby of the family, and
Yes,
everybody
yes.
loved him, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What I was struck with is some of the people that write talk about their parents and their
Yes.
homes, and others didn't get that at home, but they did find it someplace else. It was
That's right. McCain, even Senator McCain.
Kane.
which
Yes,
is
that was really interesting.
very interesting story. His father was a naval officer who was transient, always moving around. So he was boarding all his life.
Right, at school, yeah.
And this Mr. Ravenel was, for him, the epitome of what a teacher could teach you with the code of honor and the right thing to do against the wrong thing to do when he was growing up. It meant a lot to him. And he loved him. And he was really very taken with the fact that he had a brawl with some young people. It's all in his essay. And Mr. Ravenel didn't say anything, but afterwards called him in and said, "You were right, and I like the way you handled it. That's the way to do it." Now here he is in Vietnam, in prison, and he was given the option of leaving his buddies, which was wonderful. You know, you'd think somebody would grab the opportunity. He almost did, he says. But then he started to think, what would Mr. Ravenel want me to do? Well, he decides to stay with his buddies because he would not want him to leave. He couldn't wait to get home to tell Mr. Ravenel.
And what he had.
And he died a week before he got out. So that was disturbing.
We hope that he also has.
So that shows you something else in life. There is a bitterness. Sometimes we don't always get that fulfillment that we would have liked. Right. In his case, he overcame it, and he's a marvelous man.
Right. And Whoopi Goldberg had an interesting story also.
Yes,
didn't
her
she?
mother.
Yeah.
Strong lady.
She comes from New Jersey.
Yes, yes.
Which I loved.
Yeah.
And then they had all these people. I mean, they really were very.
80 altogether. With Hillary, who speaks of her mentors, and myself, we're 80 in there. 30 new ones.
30
this
new ones in here.
edition, but 80 altogether.
And then the other books, the other editions have how many?
Well, they are 30 less, but because many died, so I had to sort of bring in other people who are so interesting to hear, and they're alive.
And what about the UN? Do you work at all with UNICEF and some of these other, international
Well, the
children's
International
organizations?
Forum for Child Welfare is really not only recognized by the UN, but has consultative status. And they're doing a wonderful thing, because in this world, the globality of problems with children are almost similar when you see what's going on with the families and the children. So I'm thrilled that I joined, and I co-chaired in 2010 in Poughkeepsie, New York. But it was fabulous. I mean, I'm talking about people from Australia, from Malaysia, from China, Japan, and all over the world they come.
Just recently, this young boy shot some people in school. And do you remember that the Times had an article about how relatives of the perpetrators suffer? I mean, how did children like this happen?
Well, that's a psychological phenomenon that we have to study. It has to come, of course, from the family, first of all. It could be something.
And from the schools, too. This kid felt that he was bullied.
Yeah,
And he
the
made
bullying
fun of-
is a big part of my program. Yes, yes, yes. When I
Oh,
talked
good.
about diversity, it comes into Alan Alda, who's in the
Yeah.
book, called me and said, my foundation, Family Foundation, is giving you funding and we're sponsoring your program. But if you don't do more about bullying,
Oh, good.
because Tom Hanks in the movie, he with the braces on his legs.
Is that Forrest Gump?
Forrest Gump. He said, I was a Forrest Gump. He said, I had braces when I was a kid. No, I never thought that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And he said, well, they did that to me, what you saw
Yeah.
in the movie. And he said, you've got to stop it. Well, look at what's been happening,
Yeah.
the tragedies.
Right.
And now with the internet,
Right.
the severity of the internet
So-
hurting the lives of children, where some friend who doesn't wants to do ill to this other girl
just
will
could go
put
do it.
things in there that are not true and hurt the girl
Yeah,
terribly.
terribly.
No, no, no. That is something that we have to talk about.
Very good. Well, you have to come back again. And if people want, again, let's repeat, the website is mentoringusa.org.
.org. And if to be a mentor, we will take care of them. We walk them through the steps. It's not difficult, and they get satisfaction like you can't believe. I'll just leave you with the Bloomingdales. We have close to 100, if not more now, of Bloomingdale's employees.
Oh, how great.
And Richard Patelli got the National Mentoring Award for 15 years in the program.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Matilda Raffa
pleasure.
Cuomo.
My pleasure.
And I hope you'll come back again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. If there are any people you'd like to hear and topics you'd like us to explore, please let me know. You can write to me at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016, or you can go to the website at cuny.tv and click on Contact Us. I look forward to hearing from you.